This is a Gem Mind Publishing production. Viewer discretion is advised.
The mental plane. After enduring the Galactic Task Force transformation process, a subset of agents gained psychic abilities that lay on a spectrum. These powers ranged from simply being able to detect subtle brain signals indicating a suspect's intended movement, allowing the agent to react in advance, to being able to completely command another's body and puppet it from the shadows. A further subset of these agents, mainly those on the higher end of the psychic power spectrum, gained access to a parallel plane of reality. This reality was not bound by known laws of physics, and physical matter could not exist there. To enter, these agents had to disembody themselves, taking on an astral avatar. After years of exploration and study, they came to understand that this domain was really a parallel reality, born out of the amalgamation of all human consciousness. That led them to call it the mental plane. Similar to the way neurons within a brain are linked to form a single human mind, so too are all human minds linked to form a collective consciousness. Every individual is granted access to this shared consciousness, even if only on a subconscious level. It is the invisible communication between people that lets them sense a general mood in a room or even a nation. It is the cord that networks all minds, providing access to the motives and emotions of others, what most would call instinct, empathy, or gut feelings. From this shared consciousness, the artist experiences visions of prophetic beauty. The author is inspired and whisked away to new lands of unimaginable splendor, and the scientist is given stunning insights into the secrets of reality, and for a mere moment, access to every layer of creation. These are the feats of mental acumen granted to an individual through the power of a shared consciousness. But each person can only draw from the collective that which their vessel is ready to receive. Therefore, it's unlikely that a non-scientist would ever make a major empirical discovery, or a non-artist would ever create a masterpiece. For the average person, access to the plane could be granted through dreams and hypnosis. However, this would only give them access to one of the three frequencies of the mental plane, which exists outside the hub of a person's mind. The hub. As this was the first place one arrived when peering within, the hub of the mind was the first discovery psychic GTF agents made in the early days. This hub is the central control room of an individual's mind, and while its appearance may change from mind to mind, it contains a few consistent cardinal points, even in the most broken and twisted of minds. The first is a pedestal, upon which rests a giant gem known as the touchstone. This is always found at the center of the room. Next, lying north, west, east, and south of the pedestal, there are doors leading to the different frequencies of the mental plane. The hub, therefore, serves as the nexus point, connecting an individual's mind to the various levels of the shared human consciousness, and is the primary control center for navigating and interacting with the mental plane. The hub is the one place an individual can call their own. This is where their consciousness, if such a thing exists, hides itself. In the course of their mental excursions, the GTF's agents surmised that this was related to the pedestal. Once an agent infiltrated the hub of a mind and gained control of the pedestal, they assumed control of the individual. The four doors were the only protection a mind was offered against the maelstrom of other minds beyond. The network frequency. As agents grew in their psychic prowess, they noticed what appeared to be threads emanating from the minds of individuals, connecting them to other minds to form a giant network. These ethereal threads, described by agents as wisps of spider silk, have relational significance to individuals. The threads are present and vary in thickness and strength, based on the relationship or familiarity a person has with another. Between a husband, wife, and children lies a sturdy, rope-like cord of thread connecting them, while between strangers met on the street or seen in passing, the thread is barely visible. However, a thread is created for everyone we ever meet in person, whether we had been consciously aware of their presence or not. This is why a skilled psychic can tell if a suspect is lying when asked if they know an individual. Psychics could determine much simply based on the health of the thread connecting both individuals. They could tell if a partner was being unfaithful or the overall strength of a relationship. If no thread existed, there was no link between the individuals in question. Beyond discerning truth, During questioning, when suspects were asked about individuals they knew or shown a picture, the thread connected to the individual on the other end glinted. Upon entering astral form, a skilled psychic could then follow that thread into the network frequency of the mind. In the network frequency, an agent would be confronted by a labyrinth of hallways with identical, equally spaced doors running along its walls. Each door corresponds to the mind of a person and thus opens to the hub of a person's mind. An agent would have to penetrate a person's mental defense to enter the door to their hub, a process made much easier holding onto the string that guided them. The thread leads to the pedestal of the mind where it is anchored within the memories at the base of the pedestal. Many discoveries about this plane of reality were made by these pioneering psychics in the early days, most at a steep cost. It was found that the doors of the network frequency are laid out in random order, making the thread imperative for agents to navigate the maze of hallways, lest they disappear within the network forever. If an agent lost hold of the string that brought him into the network frequency, he might attempt to find a weak mind to enter. However, this could lead to any of the minds scattered among the stars. This was incredibly risky, since the original consciousness would inevitably gain the upper hand over the intrusive one and either destroy them or shunt them into the void. The void frequency. The first group of agents exploring the mental plane that opened the door north of the pedestal found themselves in a world of their own creation. These personal worlds are entirely self-contained, shaped and manifested by the individual's own conscious identity, beliefs, desires, and personality. In essence, each is a miniature singular universe where the person reigns as the supreme power, where their will, imagination, and perception quite literally shapes the reality around them. Within these hermetic worlds, the person's most treasured fantasies, ambitions, and ideal self-image can be made manifest as subjective truth. Equally, their fears, neuroses, and self-doubts may hold horrifying sway, twisting their personal realm into a prison of psychological torment. The agents found it to be a wonderland and enjoyed conjuring up fantasies within this place. When comparing notes about their findings, they soon realized that common to all their worlds was the negative sun that lit up the sky. This led them to rationalize that this was a shared space, which brought into question just how far the void extended. Inevitably, and in line with human nature, they tested those limits. What they discovered as they flew to the edge of their world was that this frequency seemed the most familiar part of the mental plane. It mirrored the galaxy of their physical reality, with orbs of light numbering into the billions, all revolving around a distant supermassive black hole, or what had appeared to them as a negative sun from the vantage point of their personal worlds. They now understood that each orb was actually an individual mind. However, when some tried to leave their orb and drift to another, they found that the gap between worlds became infinite. For years, no one ever returned from this endless space between worlds, dubbed by those that were left as the void. In the physical plane, agents lost to the void went into a vegetative state. But many years later, a small few of those agents regained consciousness, answering the question as to what happens if an individual's astral form does not return to the hub of his mind. Only through conscious effort, such as extreme mental discipline or use of the God tongue, can one overcome the dark expanses of the void's liminal spaces. The subfrequency. Contrasting the void frequency's perfect isolation, as one is disconnected from all others who occupy their own self-created cosmic islands adrift in empty space, the subplane of the mental realm represents the subconscious minds of all humanity merged and intermingled into one vast, chaotic underwater realm. It is a dreamlike, turbulent, and ever-shifting place where the deepest subconscious thoughts, urges, and impulses of every individual mix and churn together in a primal soup. The agents that opened the door west of the pedestal were the ones to discover this world that defied all norms of the physical realm they were so accustomed to. The subfrequency is constructed of many layers, like the depths of an ocean. At the deepest levels exist the individual subconscious minds, appearing as isolated pockets surrounded by the primal chaos. But these individual domains are not sealed off. They constantly leak outwards, blending with others at higher levels into larger amalgamated zones occupied by those who share unconscious thoughts, cultural beliefs, or psychological archetypes. At the uppermost level, the entire combined subconscious of the human race froths and roils in an anarchic maelstrom of clashing symbols, urges, and psychic vortexes. Like riptides, immensely powerful currents of unconscious energies flow through this realm, simultaneously formed by and shaping the thoughts and unconscious impulses of humanity. Within this psychic ocean, the like-minded instinctively band together in shifting islands of provisional sanity and safety. But beyond these tenuous havens, unspeakable psychic horrors and unnameable symbols of our deepest, most primitive nuclear subconscious stalk the metaphysical deeps in perpetual conflict. This place is like a fever dream, and if not careful, one could easily lose all semblance and awareness of themselves in the endless, shifting, shared hysteria of the masses. The report. When the reports of these discoveries made it to the Council, it gave them pause once again. They were just as ignorant about the existence of these realms as everyone else. Long ago they had been so sure they knew enough to leave the tutelage of the beings, yet here they were, still so ignorant of fundamental layers of reality. Even more concerning, some agents reported that an entity roamed the mental plane. They claimed it had such great power it warped and traversed the different frequencies with ease. Despite taking the form of a woman, within this being, skilled agents could sense a whirling tempest of billions of minds. The one reassuring factor was that, although it had made contact with several agents, it seemed ambivalent about their presence. The reports corroborated each other, confirming that it referred to itself as Nirvana. In most cases, agents caught glimpses of it, watching them silently, neither helping nor harming. In others, it asked the agents about their arc, asked questions they could not understand, and offered to absorb them into itself, a choice they all refused, but given its strength, they sensed the choice could be made for them. It was understandable why most psychics were fearful and attempted to avoid Nirvana entirely. Considering the evidence, the apostles surmised this godlike entity must be another of the Ark survivors, though they could not be certain. But both Gog and Nirvana could not have arisen from the same Ark given their individual might. She must have come from the third Ark, and it would take a ship's worth of life force to achieve such impressive reality-warping abilities. The possibility of acquiring her aid gave the apostles a flicker of hope for another avenue to oppose Gog. Hence, they conducted their own research into this strange mental realm. In doing so, they discovered that beyond psychics, anyone with sufficient knowledge of the God Tongue could also open a path to this plane. More importantly, the God Tongue still functioned there. Spirit energy. Spirit energy is also called life force, though they are one and the same. This is a dynamic form of energy responsible for the creation of all reality. Living beings, however, have a very special relationship with this energy, since all living things are animated by it. At the moment of conception, spirit energy is drawn out of the spiritual realm and is then infused with organic matter. This exotic form of energy does not naturally exist anywhere within our universe, except when contained within living creatures who lose this energy as it seeps out of their vessel over time, returning to the dimension from which it came. This process is observed as aging. The rate at which a person ages is directly linked to the ability of their vessel to hold on to spirit energy. Still, all vessels, no matter the quality, lose energy over time. And after countless years of experiments and scientific advancement to create the perfect vessel, mankind discovered that humans have an age limit of 1,000 years. No matter what we try, we cannot push beyond this barrier through natural means. It would seem, therefore, that all humans are born with a maximum potential lifespan of 1,000 years. While on this topic, let us take a moment to list the lifespans of the most common human species within the Hadean Galaxy. Quick clones, between 20 to 30 years. Super clones, up to 80 years. Digital doubles or cloned digitized consciousnesses, between 20 to 30 years. Digitized human consciousnesses, 1,000 years. Mylentrons, precisely 1,000 years. Fell sector, all species, 30 to 35 years. The God Tongue. This brings us to the God Tongue, otherwise known as the Divine Tongue. It is a complex language that speaks to and manipulates reality itself, much like the programming language of computers. With it, one can rework reality and bend it to their own will and desire. This language is intimately linked to spirit energy, as to speak it requires the use of one's spirit energy. In other words, using the God Tongue shaves time off of one's life, whether it be hours, days, months, years, or even eons. It only depends on how large or exorbitant a request was made. For instance, a person may request that an ingot of lead be transmuted into gold, and this may cost them 3 to 5 years of their lifespan. Someone else might ask that the same amount of gold be manifested into reality from nothing. This could cost them 300 to 500 years of their life. Why such a vast difference? One request required the conversion of raw energy into matter, while the other only required the manipulation of existing matter. Thus, different quantities of spirit energy are used to accomplish the same outcome. Theoretically, there is nothing that cannot be done with the use of this divine language. Although the cost of a particular task might exceed one's own lifespan twice over, the burden can be shared among many individuals wishing to accomplish the same goal. Therefore, summoning a planet could require 100,000 years of life. But if 1,000 people put forth a united petition, each person would only have to relinquish 100 years. The only thing that cannot be accomplished with this knowledge is resurrection of the dead. No matter how many people attempt to make this request, it seems that this particular feat is impossible. Most who attempt it, despite the 100% failure rate, pay a heavy price. One other notable feature of the God tongue is that one cannot lie while speaking it, as the lie would need to become true. The speaker would die, as all their spirit energy would be poured out in an attempt to change reality. For example, if one were to say, "I can fly," in the God tongue, it would undoubtedly be made reality despite being inherently untrue. However, if they made a mistake and said, "Humans can fly," all their life force would be drained in making every last human capable of flight. In the end, the price one pays for lying is death.
Want more in-depth Hadean Galaxy stories? Meet Playboy scum GTF agent Casanova in the first book of Gareth Mayer's sci-fi action romance series. Casanova is free. And for the next month, all other books in the series are only 99 cents a pop. If you want to support our work as independent creators, head over to our Patreon page. Links in the description.